Chapter 1, Transmigrating into an SSSSS Class Dark Demon Dragon Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation Stars Academy. On the stage, the dean was explaining some basic knowledge to the students. Meanwhile, the students below were all waiting in excitement. Next, everyone will enter the Overlord's plane, said the dean. In the world of the Overlord plane, you will all create a new world with the heroes you summon. Everything obtained from the Overlord's plane such as items and powers can be brought back to the Blue Star. For a new Overlord who has just entered the Overlord plane, the first new hero is especially important in order to develop in the Overlord plane. The dean patiently explained things to the student from the stage, while the students below whispered to each other. One student was filled with anticipation. I hope my first hero is the legendary Angel of Light. The Angel of Light, the legendary SSS class hero, was the top species among the heroes of light. When another student heard this, he ruthlessly shattered the other's fantasy. Wake up from your dream. With your aptitude, it's already a blessing from the ancestors to be able to summon the Knight of Light. Angel of Light? Are you crazy or drunk? A cold and arrogant man scanned the surroundings from a corner. He said in disdain, according to the prediction of our family elders, I will either summon the Wuji Sword Saint or the All-Sword Hero, Lao Ai. Those were the top SSS class heroes among the heroes of light. On the stage, the dean was tired of talking. I still have a few words to say, said the dean. The freshmen's expressions froze on their faces. They knew how tedious the dean of the academy was. He often said he had a few words to say and would go on for hours. Everyone, be quiet, said the dean. What I am going to say next is extremely important. The dean shouted, and all the students present instantly quietened down. Ever since our Blue Star collided with the Overlord plane, countless Overlords have been born. According to the rules of the Overlord plane, each of you will have your own initial territory and initial buildings when you enter. The Overlord plane is very dangerous. If you're unlucky, you'll encounter a powerful monster the moment you enter it. You might even be torn apart by the monster. Strength is important, but what's more important is luck and intellect. Half an hour had already passed with those few words. I'm really looking forward to it. What will my first hero be? The legendary SSS class hero, Succubus Queen. That won't work. I feel a little overwhelmed, but if it's really the Succubus Queen, I wouldn't mind. Su Yuan was in a daze. When he opened his eyes, he widened it in shock as he realized his situation. Wait, I'm not. Shouldn't I be waiting for a contract hero? Su Yuan looked at his left and right. He shook his head, unable to accept the reality. What happened to summoning the Succubus Queen? Su Yuan was baffled. He muttered for a long time. It was just a dream? I am a hero waiting to be summoned. He looked up at the sky. Su Yuan was a transmigrator. When he had just transmigrated to this world of feudal lords, he saw himself in the Feudal Lord Academy, waiting with countless students to summon a hero. At that time, he had even hoped that he would summon all kinds of powerful heroes. However, the reality was that he wasn't a lord, he was just a hero waiting to be summoned. After looking up at the sky for a long time, his palpitating heart gradually calmed down. At this moment, he finally had the time to pay attention to his surrounding environment. Su Yuan saw two large pools nearby. One was filled with the power of light, while the other was filled with the power of darkness. At first glance into the pool of light, Su Yuan saw an angel of light with pure white wings on its back, an elf with pointy ears, and a majestic stone giant. Su Yuan felt that the dark aura he emitted was out of place in such a bright pool. He did not step into it. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Instead, he took a few steps towards the pool of darkness. As he got closer to it, the angels, elves and other heroes in the pool of light heaved a sigh of relief. It was as if being stared at by Su Yuan was a terrible thing. Su Yuan looked down into the pool of darkness. He saw a humanoid creature covered in flames. Hello, Su Yuan said. The dark creature that was covered in flames was so frightened that its flames almost went out. It quickly escaped and disappeared from Su Yuan's sight. Why are you running? Shouted Su Yuan after it. Su Yuan didn't understand. He continued to look around. A horse made of blue flames let out a frightened cry. The knight in black armor on the horse pulled the reins in a panic, trying to control the horse. But the horse broke free of the restraints and ran away. Near Su Yuan, a huge dragon with only bones, expressed its allegiance to Su Yuan. For a moment, the information of these creatures appeared in Su Yuan's mind. Dark type S-class hero avenging soul flame, dark type SS class hero. Nightmare Knight, dark type SSS class hero dark bone dragon. Chi-Chi, what's going on? Why are you all so afraid of me? Su Yuan looked down and saw a leg wrapped in countless black dragon scales. Black bone blades emerged from the joints of his legs, and the black dragon scales flickered with a mysterious light. I have become the highest level SSSSS level dark demon dragon among the darkness-type creatures. Su Yuan raised his head, the vertical pupil of the demon dragon appeared on his chest. He gently swung his tail. There was a dark blue flame at the end of it. Purple-black lightning cackled on Su Yuan's body. Under Su Yuan's feet, a mysterious array was spinning. Countless stars appeared in the array, like a galaxy. There were a total of 12 dark energy balls floating around him. The huge dragon wings spread out, covering the sky and earth. The legendary darkness demon dragon? D*MN. How could there be such an existence of the darkness element? When Su Yuan spread his wings, all the heroes, regardless of whether they were light or dark, panicked. It's a pity that the Overlord plane will suppress me. Once I'm summoned to the Overlord plane, my strengths will also be suppressed, and I'll need to grow slowly. Su Yuan was a little reluctant. A data panel suddenly appeared. Name, Su Yuan Demonic Dragon's true name, Lupus Olga race, Dark Demon Dragon level, 1 strength 10, affects physical damage, spirit, 8, affects magic damage, agility, 7, affects attack speed, evasion, and movement, constitution, 10, affects mana recovery, stamina. Recovery, maximum health, physical defense, and magic defense. I haven't even arrived at the Overlord plane, but I am already affected by the Overlord plane's rules. The display panel showed his power in the suppressed form. Su Yuan saw another string of data appear. The Dragon God cultivation system has been awakened. Acquired special ability. Night conversion LV1, as a darkness demon dragon, it can convert the energy of the night into its own power. At night, experience will be automatically gained. The amount of experience gained will increase according to the current level. Dragon God's Slumber, unlocked at level 30. Rebirth of the Demonic Dragon, unlocked at level 60. Darkwing Blade, unlocked at level 90. Endless Devour, unlocked at level 120. At this moment, a bell rang in the sky. Su Yuan muttered, it seems the lords are going through with their summoning. Hehe. Chapter 2, chosen by the Heavenly Deo Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. I am going to start the contract. I wonder which lord will be fortunate enough to make a contract with me. Will they be full of muscles? Or maybe a beautiful young woman? Su Yuan was excited. As an SSSSS class Dark Demon Dragon, Su Yuan was unrivaled in the entire plane. To Su Yuan, this trip to the lower realm would be an interesting turn of events. Just as he was thinking about it, a colorful door slowly opened in the air. The door to the next tournament has opened. This is my chance to become stronger. With the help of the contract, I can become stronger with the Lord who summons me. The area around the door was noisy and chaotic, as if it was a fish market. Countless creatures approached the door. When I go to the lower realm and become stronger, I will be the overlord of the hero plane when I return. Some of the creatures had very high hopes. But when they saw Su Yuan, they froze. Near the door, most of the creatures were slimes, goblins, lizardmen, and other weak races. It was a frost goblin that had declared that it would become the overlord of the hero plane. F-class hero slime, E-class hero lizardman, D-class hero frost goblin, Cheng Cheng. Su Yuan looked around and saw that none of them were above the D-class. Large swaths of F-class and E-class experts were gathered together. At this moment, a light ranger walked through the door from the other side of the pool of light. She could vaguely see the scene of countless students exclaiming on the other side of the door. Heavens! It's the C-class hero of the Light Ranger? The overlord who has contracted the Light Ranger will definitely be in the top 10 freshmen. His voice traveled through the door to the hero plane. Su Yuan was stunned for a while. He is just a C-class Light Ranger. What is there to be surprised about? Su Yuan casually looked around him. Those heroes started at class. S-class heroes were everywhere, and SS class was worse than dogs. Next to Su Yuan, A giant dragon with black dragon scales and red eyes seemed to have seen through Su Yuan's doubts. The S-class hero, Red-Eyed Black Dragon, lowered his head and said respectfully, "Great Dark Demon. Dragon King, you might not care about these things." It did not dare say that Su Yuan might not understand these things. In the hero dimension, the hero pool is divided by elements: earth, water, wind, fire, thunder, nature, light, and dark. The pool of light and the pool of darkness are the two most powerful hero pools in the upper realm. At this point, Red-Eyed Black Dragon finally understood why when he looked at the door that led to the lower realm in the distance, all he saw was a bunch of ugly creatures. However, when he looked at his surroundings, he saw that S-class experts were everywhere. When Red-Eyed Black Dragon was explaining, a beam of light descended from the sky and hit a lich. The lich unwillingly walked towards the door. The Red-Eyed Black Dragon continued to explain to the confused Su Yuan, "Great Dark Demon Dragon King, that lich didn't do it willingly." Following that, Red-Eyed Black Dragon explained the rules of how heroes were summoned. There are two possible ways to head to the lower realm and form a contract with the Lord. The first is when the hero takes the initiative to go to the lower realm willingly. The Red-Eyed Black Dragon looked at the goblins and slimes. It is extremely difficult for a weak slime to advance from F-class to E-class. The race's aptitude limits everything. The Red-Eyed Black Dragon words were filled with regret. Races like slimes, goblins, and lizardmen find it difficult to improve in their entire lives by relying on their own efforts. If they go to the lower realm to make a contract with the Lord's strength will increase, and the hero can also improve. Even the S-class heroes once used to belong to the slime race and such. Just as the Red-Eyed Black Dragon was absorbed in explaining to Su Yuan, a fallen angel walked over. The 6 black wings flapped gently, and black energy circulated around him continuously. A profound array floated behind him. The fallen angel also wanted to make his presence known in front of Su Yuan. Thus, he jumped on Red-Eyed Black Dragon's explanation. "Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks," he respectfully said to Su Yuan. "Great Dark Demon Dragon King, I, an SSS-class hero, 6-winged fallen angel, Lufaci, will explain the second situation to you." The fallen angel was stronger than the Red-Eyed Black Dragon. He pushed the Red-Eyed Black Dragon away, leaving the Red-Eyed Black Dragon with no choice but to remain silent. The 6-winged fallen angel, Lufaci, elegantly bowed to Su Yuan. "Great Dark Demon Dragon King, the second scenario is just as you've seen before. It is the Heavenly Dao's choice. The weaker the creature, the higher the chance of it being chosen." Lufaci's explanation cleared up Su Yuan's doubts. The creatures at the doors weren't ugly and aiming higher than their station. They were ambitious. Most of them were chosen by the Heavenly Dao. The heroes chosen by the Heavenly Dao must go to battle and head to the lower realm. The Heavenly Dao cannot be reversed? Have there been any heroes in history who went against the Heavenly Dao's choice? Asked Su Yuan. This scared Lufaci so much that he flew back a distance away from Su Yuan. He was afraid such words would attract divine punishment. After a while, Lufaci heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that the divine punishment didn't come. Just when Lufaci and the other heroes were finally feeling at ease because the divine punishment didn't come, a bell rang in the sky suddenly. A ray of light descended from the sky and hit Su Yuan at lightning speed. The light was too fast. It had always descended slowly before. However, this time, the light descended as if it was afraid that someone would escape. It did not give everyone the slightest chance to react and directly hit Su Yuan. On the side of the pool of darkness, everyone fell into a strange silence. They stared at Su Yuan with their eyes wide open. The Great Dark Demon Dragon King. He was actually chosen. The Red-Eyed Black Dragon was in disbelief. Further away, the succubus queen grabbed at her hair in frustration. "This is impossible. The Great Dark Demon Dragon King is actually going to the Overlord plane with those lowly and filthy lower-class races. A weak human will form a contract with the Dark Demon Dragon King. No, I don't accept it." On the side of the pool of darkness, after the initial dead silence, all the heroes began to shout in disbelief. As the uncrowned king of the pool of darkness, the Great Dark Demon Dragon King was actually summoned to the lower realm? Could it be because His Majesty, the Dark Demon Dragon King, offended the Heavenly Dao? Some asked. "Great Dark Demon Dragon King, please allow us to follow you. Follow the Dark Demon Dragon King's footsteps and rebel against the Heavenly Dao. Many of them had heard Su Yuan question the heavenly Dao before. They guessed that he was punished because of it. However, with Su Yuan's strength, they thought he might actually be able to go against the heavenly Dao. After hearing the whispers of the heroes near the pool of darkness, Su Yuan was furious. Who the *CK is spreading rumors? I didn't go against the heavenly Dao. I was just asking because I was genuinely curious. At the same time, on the side of the pool of light, the heroes made strange faces. SSSSS class Dark Demon Dragon is going to the lower realm. It's over. Won't the lower realm be in chaos? Let's not talk about the Dark Demon Dragon. If the large number of S-class dark heroes who followed the Darkness Demon Dragon appear in the lower realm too, it will all be in chaos. The heroes of the light were having a heated discussion. A petite but dignified elf with pointed ears said, "We must descend to the lower realm." SSS class hero, the Lord of Elves, for the first time, expressed her desire to descend to the lower realm. Not long after, the SSS class hero, the King of the Hill, also said that he would go to the lower realm. The SSS class hero, Wuji Sword Saint, also suggested visiting the lower realm. In the blinding light, the light hero king, who had 12 pairs of wings on his back, looked at the light heroes who entered the door and mumbled, "It seems that the war between the light and the darkness will continue in the lower realm." Chapter 3, A Once-in-Century Phenomenon. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Lower Realm, Stars Academy. At this moment, the sky above the academy had completed a strange transformation. Just a moment ago, the sky was clear and bright, but now, it was suddenly covered with dark clouds, with lightning and thunder. What a terrifying aura! In the academy, countless teachers and students raised their heads to look at the sky. An extremely terrifying aura emanated from the dark clouds. There was a sort of terror engraved in the depths of their soul. What's happening? The previous contract went smoothly. How did it suddenly become like this? The dean was tired from all the talking, so he had gone to rest. As for the students, they followed the instructions and entered the Overlord plane. However, as soon as he went out, he saw that the weather had completely changed. The dean returned. He patted a man's shoulder and asked with a grave expression, "Haiwen, do you recall something like this happening before?" Dean Haiwen tried to recall, and he remembered one such incident 500 years ago. He exclaimed in surprise, "Could it be that a powerful hero is about to appear?" Dean Haiwen remembered the history. 500 years ago something like this happened in the Imperial Lord Academy. A mighty hero had appeared then. When the hero was ready to make a contract with a lord, the sky was filled with brilliant golden clouds. Rays of golden light had shone, and a gold rain had fallen on the earth. That was when the SSSS class light hero, Holy Angel, descended. The lord of the SSSS class hero had created the Sage Council. The Sage Council was spread all over the blue planet. It was the most powerful force on the blue planet. Even the current Stars Academy was established under the management of the Sage Council. The dean did not say anything. Instead, he nodded solemnly at Dean Haiwen. The students felt uneasy looking up at the sky. Such a phenomenon scared them. They thought a great terror was about to descend into the world. A timid freshman shrank into a corner and shivered. Some of the new students clenched their fists tightly, their hearts filled with ambition. A great crisis was accompanied by a great opportunity. They thought that they could seize this moment and turn the tables for themselves. While everyone was discussing, the teacher in charge of the freshman contract had received the dean's order to continue with the process. The teacher trembled. He was also panicking, but he had no choice but to continue to preside over the contract. Next, let's invite student Sawan to come on stage to carry out the contract. Everyone had been focusing on the strange phenomenon. But when the teacher called out Sawan's name, everyone started whispering, "It's Sawan's turn." Sawan? As the students waited excitedly, a girl walked out from the crowd and went up to the stage. The girl's jet black hair cascaded down like a waterfall, and there were 2 black butterfly hairpins on both sides of her head that held her hair in place. Mentor Zhenzhen Sawan greeted the teacher who was in charge of the contract. The teacher nodded, acknowledging her. The girl in front of him was wearing a black dress. With her long black hair, she looked like an elf in the dark night. Sawan gracefully walked up to the stage. Sawan raised her hand and swept her messy hair behind her shoulder. "Student Sawan, please stand in the middle of the array." Yes, teacher. Sawan elegantly bowed to the teacher. Some people from below the stage shouted, Sawan, marry me. The male student who had shouted had already imagined his and Sawan's child's name. A female student gritted her teeth. How can there be such a perfect person in this world? Sawan's entrance test results were outstanding. The dean's evaluation was that this contract hero must at least be an S-class. Sawan was very talented. At the same time, he was never arrogant. She was very humble and did not look down on others. Instead, she was always helping others and herself improve. Everyone was a new student and had just entered the school recently, but Sawan's hard work was apparent. Isn't this too much? How are we supposed to survive if she's working so hard? In the crowd, a young lady stomped her feet in anger. She was so anxious that she was about to cry. Come and read on our website. Wuxia World site. Thanks. At this moment, some of the people in the crowd below had even formed a cheerleading team. All of them were male, and they were shouting together. Sawan, I love you. Their voices reverberated. Sawan on the stage couldn't stand it. These so-called cheerleaders were all men. They were all dancing and shouting. It was annoying to watch. The teacher waved his hand at Sawan. In an instant, the entire stage seemed to be closed off from the surroundings. No noise was heard from outside. The teacher urged Sawan to continue with a smile. Student Sawan, you are a student with potential. Don't let those rowdy students distract you. The contract is very important. Ignore them and focus on the hero that belongs to you. Thank you, teacher, said Sawan. She sighed in relief. An array flickered and a ray of light suddenly appeared. Sawan disappeared from the array and headed to the Overlord Plane. In the dark cave, water dripped from above. What place is this? Su Yuan looked around. He sensed that he was in a cave. It was very dark, and he could only rely on the bioluminescent moss for the faintest light. This is the Overlord Plane? Why is it so dark? Su Yuan looked out of the cave, where the full moon hung high in the sky. I feel like there's something wrong with my perspective. Su Yuan was used to seeing things from the Dark Demon Dragon's perspective in the hero plane. Now that he was restricted by the rules, he didn't know what he had become. He felt that his current perspective seemed to have become much narrower. Dear host, you are currently in the dark. The skill Night Shift will automatically give you an experience. In an instant, Su Yuan was raised to level 2. Name, Su Yuan Demonic Dragon's true name, Lupus Olga race, Dark Demon Dragon level, 2 strength, 60 spirit, 58 agility, 57 constitution, 60 I leveled up just like that. Su Yuan didn't expect the night shift skill to make him this powerful. He had increased a level without doing anything. For an ordinary S-class, the basic attribute increase after leveling up is about 10 points, but I actually increased by 50 points more. Congratulations to the host for completing the first level. You are rewarded with the early unlocking of the skill Dragon God's Slumber. The Dragon God's Slumber. Su Yuan remembered that this ability was supposed to be unlocked only at level 30. He hadn't expected it to be unlocked so soon. Dragon God's Slumber. As long as you fall into a deep sleep, you will receive the blessing of the night. This combination of abilities is amazing. Normally, Su Yuan was able to gain experience if he was in the dark. However, it was inconvenient during the day. But now that he had unlocked Dragon God's Slumber, he could continuously gain experience points if he slept, even during the day. Then I'll have a good sleep. He closed his eyes and fell into a deep sleep. When it lightened outside, it was already daytime. A young woman in a black dress appeared at the entrance of the cave. She was a little confused. She saw a sleeping creature not very far away and covered her mouth in surprise. A dark hero, she whispered. Chapter 4, Sawan was rejected. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. In front of Sawan was a lizard-like creature the size of a human baby. The dark aura it radiated was very distinct. This was a dark-type hero. Heroes of light and darkness were the top amongst heroes. Sawan sorted out her thoughts and calmed herself. Her heart was beating fast. She called out the communication panel. This was a special panel that the lords received in the Overlord Plane, allowing them to communicate with the other lords or heroes. Its functions were similar to the communication software on the Blue Planet. In the dormitory group chat that only had 4 people, Sawan reported her situation to her roommates. Sawan, sisters, my hero is a dark type. After Suwon sent the message, someone immediately answered in the group chat. Shi Linglong, really? Wanwan's hero is actually a dark type. That's very fitting. Wanwan is so black-bellied. She is indeed fated to be with dark heroes. Shi Linglong, the representative of Suwon's dormitory, was also a living treasure. She was always so mischievous and full of energy. Her favorite thing was to give nicknames to others. The nickname she had given Suwon was Black-Bellied Woman. She would always say that unlike Suwon's cold and beautiful appearance, she had a very dark heart, so she had given her such a nickname. Another of her dormitory mates also expressed her opinion. Zhao Qingrong, wow, Wanwan's hero is indeed no simple creature. Is it a humanoid? Is he handsome? Suwon realized she had forgotten to send them a photo. So, Suwon used the function of the communication panel to take a picture of the creature in front of her and sent it to the group chat. When everyone in the group chat saw the photo of the black, glistening, baby-sized lizard-like creature, they were regretful. Zhao Qingrong, ah, what a pity. It would have been fine if he wasn't handsome. But it turns out it doesn't even look human. Now I am not interested. Although Suwon couldn't see her friend's face through the group chat, she clearly imagined the expression on Zhao Qingrong's face. Among the 4 people in the dormitory, if Suwon looked cold on the outside but was actually a black-bellied girl, Shi Linglong was a ghostly little sister, then Zhao Qingrong was a fang girl who was only interested in handsome men. Zhao Qingrong, Wanwan, let me tell you, my hero is obviously a handsome guy. Ha ha ha. Zhao Qingrong sent a photo. Her hero was a handsome elf. Shi Linglong sent another message to the group. Shi Linglong, although Rongrong's elf is a handsome guy, he's useless in anything else except looking good. He will definitely get beaten by Wanwan's blackie. When Zhao Qingrong read that, she exploded in anger. The two began to argue. Fortunately, Lin Yao, the last of the 4 to appear, smoothed things over between them. Lin Yao, all right, Linglong, don't provoke Rongrong. Wanwan's hero is a dark type, so his strength must be extraordinary. Although the 4 of them were in the same class and dormitory, they were of different ages. The youngest of them was Shi Linglong. She was 1 year younger than Lin Yao. Lin Yao was the oldest of the 4, and she usually considered herself the big sister. Whenever there was any conflict in the dormitory, she would be the one to defuse the situation. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks Lin Yao. Wanwan, since you have a dark hero, you have to be careful. Although the dark hero is the best, it's not easy to make a contract with it. Dark heroes were not to be trifled with. It would not be easy to make a contract with them, indeed. Suwon listened to Lin Yao's suggestion. She did not underestimate the black lizard-like creature. She was excited to introduce herself. Hello, dark hero, said Suwon. I am Suwon. It's a pleasure to meet you. If those students who thought Suwon was cold and aloof could see her now. Unfortunately, the only person who saw Suwon in this place was Su Yuan. Su Yuan raised his head and looked at the human woman. At first glance, Su Yuan was very disappointed. The young woman in front of him looked weak. Once they formed the contract, they would be bonded. Each of their achievements would reflect on the other. The hero's growth would benefit the lord and vice versa. If one of them decided to pull back, it would affect both their growth. Hello, said Su Yuan, softly. He then lay on the ground and closed his eyes again. If he slept, he would become stronger. He would be unstoppable. Suwon was at a loss. She felt that it was indeed difficult to deal with the dark-type heroes. Lin Yao was right. It would be difficult to coax the hero into a contract. It was obvious that this dark hero didn't want to form a contract with her. Suwon recalled what she had learned at the academy. Favorability was an important factor. In the past, many mediocre lords would form contracts with strong heroes because they found the heroes favorable, and they would help with their own growth. Suwon had to do the opposite. She needed to increase her favorability so the dark hero would form a contract with her. But the problem was, how could she increase her favorability? Suwon looked at the little thing sleeping on the ground. She couldn't possibly pick him up and pet him like a cat. Besides, he might get angry at her for treating him so disrespectfully. After thinking for a long while, Suwon figured out a way. She had to express her sincerity to gain the creature's favor. He saw Suwon cautiously step forward. She crouched down near him. She wanted to lower herself to his level so that he understood that she respected him as a hero. Respected hero, I'm a first-year student of the Star Academy, Swan. I would be grateful if you could agree to the equal contract I initiate. An equal contract. That was the method Swan went for. There were 3 types of contracts that could be created between the Lord and the hero: slave contract, master-servant contract, and an equal contract. In a slave contract, the Lord had absolute control over the hero. The Lord would get 90% from their contract. As for the master-servant contract, the Lord had the authority to order the hero, and would receive 50% from their mutual growth. However, in an equal contract, both the Lord and the hero would be equals. They cannot order each other around but only negotiate terms. The Lord would receive only a 10% bonus from the hero's achievements. Swan's heart was pounding. She was uneasy and impatient, waiting for the hero's reply. I refuse, said Su Yuan. He hadn't even opened his eyes and rejected her outright. Swan was stunned. The grade of the Lord was similar to the grade of the corresponding hero. In most cases, heroes did not refuse an equal contract. In the current situation, Swan felt lost. Nothing in the academy had taught her to deal with such an event. Chapter 5, What Have You Done? Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. Swan sent a message in the group chat. Swan, the hero rejected the equal contract. What should I do? Help? It's urgent. Shi Linglong couldn't believe it. Shi Linglong, what? Why? By offering an equal contract, you have already shown your sincerity. They couldn't figure out why the hero had rejected Swan. The contract between the Lord and the hero, although many people said it repeatedly, depended on luck as much as anything else. But in reality, luck didn't play as big a part as that. Innate talent, bloodline, and such held important weight when making a contract. Swan, because of her talent and aptitude, did not encounter a goblin. It was near to impossible for her to encounter one. Those who were chosen to make a contract with her would be of her level. The dark hero in front of her was a testament to her talent and her skill. She didn't understand why the hero refused her. She could understand its rejection if she offered a slave or master-servant tract. An equal contract was beneficial to them both. Both had their freedom, and no one could order the other around. Why would he refuse? In the group chat, Shi Linglong and Zhao Qingrong discussed the situation. In the end, it was Lin Yao who made some suggestions. Lin Yao, Wan, there could be another explanation. There was a case before where the hero was too weak compared to the Lord, so it rejected the offer, fearing it would drag the Lord down with it. Lin Yao explained, but Swan was still doubtful. Shi Linglong expressed the same doubts in the group chat. Shi Linglong, you are right, Sister Yao Yao, but logically, the heroes would have similar, corresponding skills to the Lords. In that case, how do powerful Lords get paired with weak heroes? Lin Yao, reciprocity is only relative. It's not absolute. These cases do happen. There are cases where a weak Lord also makes a contract with powerful heroes. These cases are very rare but not unheard of. Wan, you can take a look at the hero's attribute panel and judge the situation based on that. Swan agreed to Lin Yao's suggestion. She looked at Su Yuan in front of her with a dazed face. She quietly checked the hero's attribute panel which appeared in front of her. The moment she saw it, Swan's body went numb. Her eyes widened and she began to doubt everything about herself. His attribute panel was blank. This hadn't been mentioned in the textbooks. What's going on? She thought anxiously. Su Yuan opened one of his eyes and glanced lazily at Swan. He had sensed her attempting to check his attribute panel, but the dark demon dragon came with his own shielding function. Without his willingness, the young woman in front of him could not see his attributes. Su Yuan was amused at her expression of confusion. She looked like an elementary school student who couldn't solve her homework. She looked so anxious, as though she was going to cry any minute. Swan was in despair. Everyone's contract with their heroes was going well. She wondered why it was not working when it came to her. She couldn't even see her hero's attributes, to say the least. Is it because the hero is so strong that he could hide his attributes? Or is it because he is too weak for the system to display anything? Swan's face showed shades of despair and helplessness. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. All right, said Swan after a while. We don't need to make a contract if you don't want to. But we do need to stay together. Please help me in the future. The contract wasn't necessary, but it had its benefits. After forming the contract, the Lord would get a special bonus. But even without it, the Lord and the hero were on the same side, wandering the Overlord plane. May I ask how I should address you? Asked Suwon. My name is Su Yuan. He closed his eyes and continued to sleep. He was gaining experience every second. Suwon patiently explained the rules of the Lords to Su Yuan. Next, we will proceed with the novice trial. For this, we need to choose an initial talent. Each Lord gets only 3 talents. Suwon needed to choose one of the talents to start the trial. In order to make a good impression, she talked and explained everything to Su Yuan, just as she would with a friend. I am a little bit talented. The 3 initial talents I have are good ones. Suwon might not be very lucky, but she had talents. She also was a hard-working person. I will show him that my talents aren't ordinary. She looked at the 3 talents that appeared on the panel, which were in the icons of 3 differently colored bottles. Golden bottle icon, increase magic long-range attack damage by 250%. Silver bottle icon, increases physical melee attack damage by 150%. Bronze bottle icon, increases physical and magical resistance by 100%. With these 3 talents, Suwon had already made a decision in her heart. In terms of the strength of amplification, the golden bottle increased the damage by 250%, which was 2.5 times stronger than normal, while the silver bottle only increased the damage by 1.5 times. In terms of enhanced attributes, the golden bottle increased magic damage, which meant that she would be walking the path of a mage. The silver bottle was for the path of a warrior. Between a powerful mage and a warrior with a large blade, Suwon felt that the mage would be more handy and powerful. The golden bottle was the best choice in all aspects. Just as Suwon was going to choose the first option, a small claw reached out and tapped on the very last icon. Suwon froze. Her eyes widened. Su Yuan, what have you done? She was always calm and composed but couldn't help roaring at this moment. Even if he had selected the second option, she would have agreed. But the third talent, it had only a 100% bonus compared to the first one that had a whopping 250% bonus. Anyone would choose the option which provided more bonus. In terms of attributes, the first and second talents both increased damage output. The third talent was no more than a turtle hiding in a sturdy shell. Suwon didn't want to hide and stay in the shell. Su Yuan smiled in satisfaction. He had thought everything through. For him, damage or attack output wasn't a problem. His attributes were far superior to any hero. He was absolutely superior in all aspects. With him and Suwon's strength combined, they didn't lack output. The only problem was the Lord he was with. If the Lord died, he would be affected as well. What Suwon needed to do was protect herself and survive. So, he had chosen a talent of 100% physical and magical resistance for her. He thought she was just a weak little girl who needed to increase her defense and survive. Chapter 6, Offering Zhao Qingrong's Cut, Blessing of Fate. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. We're done for. Suwon exclaimed. She felt hopeless, but seeing the prompt appear on the panel after making her choice gave her a little comfort. Talent, Steel Shelter. The Lord can use the Steel Shelter on any unit, hero, building, or a troop, to increase their resistance. It's fine. It's fine. Suwon tried to convince herself. At least you won't be beaten up. Suwon wanted to cry but had no tears. This was already the worst misfortune. She had thought choosing the third talent would make her a tank and nothing else. But she could work with the current situation. She just needed a hero who could do the other things. That way, when the hero attacked, she could be a support and provide him help from behind. But the hero beside her was. Suwon looked at the swarthy, infant-sized lizard. At this moment, she seriously doubted the hero's combat prowess. If Su Yuan wasn't very good at combat and he had chosen the worst possible talent for Suwon, then would they even have a future to speak of? On the other side, Su Yuan looked up at the sky, as if he had no guilt for what he had just done. Seeing him like that, Suwon felt hopeless. Dark heroes are so difficult to deal with, the textbooks didn't lie, lamented Suwon. Suwon muttered this sentence, as if she was about to break her teeth. However, Suwon was a genius favored by the dean. She not only had talent, but her resilience was also formidable. Suwon soon calmed down. She was determined to check the core of the territory. The core of the initial territory assigned to them was a place they needed to protect. If the core was destroyed, the lord would lose the right to be a lord. Suwon searched for a while and found the core of the territory in the cave. A huge purple-black crystal was floating there, emitting a strange light. "No way!" Suwon exclaimed. It was good that she didn't have to go very far to find the core, but it was bad news that the core was in a cave. The dark cave looked very oppressive. Where's the promised beautiful forest? The sunset lake? The grassland? Suwon's whole body trembled. Her heart sank. She had fantasized of her core as a beautiful, lush forest. She had imagined lakes and such. She never expected it to be a dark cave. This is just hellish. Suwon gritted her teeth. After that, Suwon looked at the resources in her territory. She felt that her life was becoming increasingly difficult. Land, cave group 0.3 square kilometers. Resources, unit, ton wood, 0 ores, 10 rock, 50 food, 0 building. Territory core, level 1. Population, February 2000. There's no wood here. There's no wood in this damn cave. Suwon's heart sank. Not only was there no wood, but there was also no food. Suwon took a deep breath and tried to calm herself down. Do you want to summon the initial troop class for free? Suwon looked at the option. She was also curious about what kind of troops she could summon. What every lord had to do at the start was to build buildings through the core of the territory. After the territory hall was built, a certain number of resources could be used to summon troops. And having troops meant having the manpower and the tools. The territory could slowly develop. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Every new overlord had a free chance to summon troops when they entered the overlord plane. Suwon prayed that she could get a stronger troop. On the other side, Su Yuan looked at Suwon thoughtfully. He had been focused on leveling up and didn't pay much attention to her in the beginning. However, a notification from the system changed his mind. Territory core has been upgraded to level 2. Level 60 upper limit unlocked. After looking at it, he realized that his strength was limited. His previous idea of gaining experience by sleeping didn't seem to be working. Once he reached level 30, he would not be able to continue leveling up, let alone rover his full strength from the hero plane. If he wanted to break through the level 30 limit, he would have to upgrade the territory core to level 2. Su Yuan then looked at the territory core, which required resources to upgrade to level 2. Territory core upgrade requirements. Land area reaches 0.4 square kilometers. Not achieved. Total resources needs to be 100 tons. Yet to be achieved. Possess 5 buildings. Incomplete. Population needs to be 2,000. Not yet achieved. After looking at the requirements, Su Yuan had an idea. Suwon also wanted to try her luck. God bless me. I'll sacrifice Rongrong's cut and get a strong troop type. Suwon was reluctant to use her friend for glory. If Zhao Qingrong knew about this, she would be sad about the cut posters for a long time. Congratulations, Lord, you have gained one of the 3 soldier types. Choose 1 out of 3. Suwon was so happy that she almost jumped up on the spot. She shared the news with Su Yuan. Offering Rongrong's cut as sacrifice worked really well. Suwon told him about Zhao Qingrong and her other roommates, including the chance she got to choose one of the 3 soldiers. Lord, please choose one of the 3 units below. 1 Tauren Warriors x 10-2. Human Warriors x 53. Low-level Skeleton Soldiers x 100. Suwon only took a short time to decide. She thought that the second option was the best. The first option was the Tauren Warriors. They were the strongest in combat, but she would only get 10 of them. Besides, Tauren Warriors were clumsy and couldn't do anything useful. On the other hand, Human Warriors were weaker than Tauren Warriors in combat, but they were flexible and talented and could do other things like building, hunting, and farming. The humans could do everything. She thought the second option was the best. As for the third option, Suwon didn't even think about it. The low-level skeleton soldiers were too weak. Furthermore, they didn't know how to think and were not very bright. Without waiting for Suwon to make a choice, a small, clawed limb stretched out and chose the third option. Su Yuan, she shouted. You really just want to go against everything I choose, right? She couldn't figure out why this dark hero was like this. He did not pitch in with ideas and didn't help her at all, but always made trouble at the critical moment. Is he sent by another competitor? She wondered. After choosing the third option, Su Yuan looked up at the sky as though nothing happened. Just like before, he had his own thoughts about the choice he made. From Su Yuan's point of view, low-level skeleton soldiers did not complain about food and never got tired. They were the best tools to get things done. It was the most suitable choice. Suwon was frustrated. The Lord's mission was released just at that time. Novice Overlord Trial Mission activated. All Novice Lords, please attack the nearby barbarian strongholds within 24 hours. You will get 1 point for every barbarian you kill. Calculation of points will be carried out after 24 hours. The top 10 players with the highest points will be rewarded. Chapter 7, That Hero of Mine is a Fraud. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation Su Yuan. Let's go and deal with the barbarians. Suwon got frustrated very quickly, but it passed as fast. The current situation didn't give her time to be sad and angry. There was work to do. With 100 low-level skeleton soldiers and Su Yuan, a dark hero with unknown combat power, it should not be a problem to eliminate some barbarians. The problem was whether or not they could get into the top 10. I will try as much as I can to get into the top 10. Suwon was determined. If it was before, she would have definitely made it to top 3. However, after entering the Overlord plane, her experiences hadn't been smooth. First, she had been scammed by her hero into choosing the worst options. She felt that if she could make it to the top 10, it would already exceed her expectations. No, I want to sleep, said Su Yuan and laid down on the ground. The strength of a barbarian was between level 1 and 10. Although, the attributes of Su Yuan were far higher than those of the same level. However, he had reached a very critical stage. He needed to upgrade from level 4 to 5. He had continuously gained experience while sleeping and had reached level 4. If he reached level 5, his strength would take a huge leap. At the same time, his appearance would also change, and he would be able to unlock more abilities. Su Yuan didn't want to fail in an easy task, so he felt that it was better to advance to level 5 first. At that time, he would be in first place. Suwon looked at the sleeping Su Yuan, and she felt angry. How is this my hero? She lamented. He acts like he is my master. You're so annoying, she said. Forget it. I will go by myself with the skeleton soldiers. Let's go. She commanded the skeleton soldiers. Every second after the mission announcement. This was because there were other novice lords fighting the same thing. Their points would keep increasing. Although Suwon had already given up hope of making it up to the top 10, she still wanted to try. She was a top student at the academy, and if she gave up without trying, it would be embarrassing. It was better to go fight instead of spending her time here with lazy Su Yuan anyway. If she stayed here, she might not even achieve 1 point. However, as a high-profile existence in the academy, it would be even more embarrassing if she wasted her time here with Wish. In the end, she would not be able to get a single point. Let's go. Suwon commanded the skeleton soldiers. They didn't budge from their place. What's the meaning of this? Suwon was even more frustrated now. Su Yuan was already bullying her, and now the skeleton soldiers were doing the same thing. Not one listened to her orders. Suwon realized that every skeleton was looking at Su Yuan expectantly. It seemed they were asking for his permission. Su Yuan, said Suwon. What is the meaning of this? Suwon suspected that since Su Yuan had chosen them, they would only obey him and no one else. Su Yuan lazily opened his eyes. He waved his tiny claw at the skeleton soldiers. In an instant, they set off in an orderly manner. Toward the outside, Suwon typed an urgent message to Mentor Zhenzhen. Suwon, the military power is under the hero's control. The troops only obey him. What should I do? Need help. Suwon decided not to send the message, so she deleted it. It was too embarrassing for her to send that to her teacher who had so much faith in her. It did not cross Suwon's mind that perhaps Su Yuan's aura was too powerful, so everything waited for his approval. This was because when she looked at him, she only saw a harmless, tiny lizard-like creature. She only assumed that because Su Yuan had chosen the option, the skeleton soldiers recognized him as their authority. Such things weren't mentioned in the textbooks. However, Suwon had encountered many things that didn't go according to the textbooks in this place. Suwon didn't have time to think about that. She led the skeleton soldiers to fight against the barbarians. Every point counted. After Suwon left, Su Yuan reached level 5. Name, Su Yuan, demonic dragon's true name. Luphis Olga, come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Race, Dark Demon Dragon. Level, 5 Strength, 210 Spirit, 208 Agility, 207 Constitution, 210. Abilities: Night Shift LVL1. As a Dark Demon Dragon, energy of the night can be converted to power. During the night, experience will be automatically gained at all times. The amount of experience gained will increase according to the current skill level. Dragon God Slumber LVL1. As long as you fall into a deep sleep, you will receive the blessing of the night. Lord of Darkness, has absolute control over all dark creatures. Can forcefully control dark creatures. Demonic Dragon's Blessing. Imbues the demonic dragon's aura onto dark creatures, strengthening them. All attributes will increase by 300% for 10 minutes. Demon Dragon Wings LVL1. Ability to fly. At night, ability to travel from one dark area to another. Demonic Dragon's Breath LVL1. Spit out a demonic dragon's breath, causing AoE damage to the target area. Creatures who die from the demonic dragon's breath have a 10% chance of becoming an undead. Depends on the ability level. Su Yuan looked at his attribute panel. He felt that he should be able to take care of those barbarians. Su Yuan spread his wings and flew out of the cave. He flew under the shadow of a big tree outside the cave. After leveling up to level 5, Su Yuan's appearance had changed. He had gained dragon wings. Now he no longer looked like a tiny lizard. With the Demon Dragon Wings ability, he could travel through dark spaces. There were 2 trees not far away, and the sun cast shadows under them. Su Yuan flew from one shadow to the next. It was like traveling through space. I guess I have to see how the Lord is doing, he muttered. He flew in the sky to locate Suwan. Suwan was busy venting her dissatisfaction in the dormitory group chat. Suwan, it's over? I feel like I will only barely be able to make it to the top 10. Shi Linglong, what? What do you mean you can barely make it? Wan, how are we supposed to live with these words of yours? We don't even have a chance to get into the top 50. Shi Linglong felt that Suwan was being a black belly once again. She was deliberately provoking others. Only Lin Yao saw the problem. Lin Yao, Wan, what happened? With your talent and skill, you should be able to make it to top 3. You have always been among the top 3, right? Suwan almost burst into tears when Lin Yao mentioned it. That hero of mine is a fraud. That was how Suwan felt about Su Yuan. But when Lin Yao asked why, Suwan couldn't tell her about the things that had happened. She was too embarrassed. He is lazy. I asked him to come with me to fight the barbarians, but he only wanted to sleep. When Suwan typed that in the group, the other 3 people sent a string of ellipses. Zhao Qingrong gloated. Zhao Qingrong, fortunately, my hero isn't a dark hero. He is a handsome elf. He is very easy to talk to. When she saw the message, Suwan felt even more depressed. She almost left the group. When Suwan closed the group chat, the skeleton soldiers arrived at the barbarian stronghold and began to fight. Chapter 8, Demon Dragon's Blessing. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. That is definitely a lively fight. Su Yuan finally found Suwan. He perched on a tree and looked down at the ongoing battle. Barbarian level, 5 Strength, 20 Spirit, 12 Agility, 17 Constitution, 25. Su Yuan had overestimated the capabilities of a level 5 barbarian. He could crush those if he was even just a level 2. Their attributes were very weak. Suwan was in the midst of the battle commanding the skeleton soldiers. Steel Shelter. Suwan provided resistance to the skeleton soldiers. But it didn't do much. The barbarians were too strong for the skeletons. They scattered into pieces after being hit. Damn Su Yuan, muttered Su Yuan. I wonder how much resources I need to spend to revive these skeleton soldiers. Suwan felt more and more depressed looking at the skeletons on the ground. She regretted everything. If she had chosen the human warriors, they would have fought, slashed, and made traps. They would have won against the barbarians without suffering much damage. But because of Su Yuan and his choice of these skeletons, Suwan suffered a lot in the battle. Don't tell me I will be obliterated even when just attacking a stupid barbarian stronghold, muttered Suwan. Looking at more and more skeleton soldiers falling, Suwan was anxious. Suwan looked at her own attributes. I'm level 6 now, and my 4 attributes are all above 50. It's easy for me to kill a few barbarians, but Suwon's attributes were quite strong. But there were just too many enemies to fight. And the skeletons around her were very weak to withstand even one attack. No, even if I have to go to the battlefield personally, I have to regain my face. Suwon was so anxious that she intended to roll up her sleeves and deal with the barbarian's head on at this moment. Su Yuan, who was perched on a tree, used Demon Dragon's blessing on the skeleton soldiers. Low-level skeleton soldiers level 5 strength, 10 spirit, 6 agility, 8 constitution, 12. One could see that although they were both level 5, there was a big difference in the attributes of the skeleton soldiers and the barbarians. At this moment, a black light hit the skeletons. The skeleton soldier's body was surrounded by black mist, and its white bones instantly turned black. Low-level skeleton soldiers level 5 strength, 30 spirit, 18. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks agility, 24 constitution, 36. In an instant, the skeleton soldiers' attributes tripled, and they surpassed the barbarians. Suwon was preparing to go into the fight scene. She caught a glimpse of a black shadow flying from the corner of her eyes. She saw the black light hit the skeleton soldiers. The skeleton soldiers roared. Wait, how did the general attributes of these skeleton soldiers increase so much? Suwon watched the skeleton soldiers rush and fight. They annihilated the barbarian stronghold. Are these really the weak skeleton soldiers from a moment ago? Suwon rubbed her eyes. She was afraid that she was hallucinating. The 10 minutes were up, and the skeleton soldiers returned to their weak selves. When Suwon checked their attributes, it was the same as before. How is this possible? Could it be that sacrificing Rongrong's cut is really that effective? Did they mutate suddenly? Suwon couldn't figure it out. If they were human soldiers, she could have asked them, but these skeleton soldiers didn't know human language. 332 points? I can definitely make it to the top 10, thought Suwon. At the moment, everyone was exploring the map and searching for the barbarians. Even if they found it, they would have to come up with ways to annex the stronghold. It was rare for someone to wipe out an entire stronghold at one go. Let's go and let Su Yuan see how we can do this with or without him. Suwon withdrew her troops and returned to her territory with the skeleton soldiers. When she reached, she saw Su Yuan still sleeping on the ground. However, something was different. There was something on his back. Su Yuan, what's that on your back? Suwon asked with concern. The wings were folded so it looked like a bump. Are you feeling sick? Suwon was worried. She thought about Su Yuan's behavior. She had gotten angry at his laziness. But now she realized that he was trying to sleep all the time because he had been ill all this time. This was just as Lin Yao had said. Some heroes were afraid that their attributes were too low and would drag down the overlord, so they refused to sign the contract. Furthermore, Su Yuan was so drowsy from the beginning and had been on the ground from the moment they had met. Suwon was now sure that he was ill. Suwon didn't care about being polite any longer. She carried him in her arms, trying to see where he felt unwell. Su Yuan, don't worry. Just tell me where it hurts. I will cure you or find a way to make it better. Suwon was very worried about him no matter how he had treated her in the beginning. He was her first hero, after all. The significance of the first hero was great. Nothing could replace him. Just as Suwon was about to send a message in the group chat to ask for some help, Su Yuan opened his eyes. This was the first time he had seen her at such a close distance. Suwon couldn't see clearly in the dark cave. Suddenly, Su Yuan spread his dragon wings. The wings hit Suwon on the face. Ow! What was that? Suwon was so scared that she let go and Su Yuan flew away. Su Yuan? What was that? Suwon turned to see that Su Yuan was once again on the ground. Su Yuan had retracted his wings and gone back to his previous form. Suwon was confused. She didn't know what was in his body. Meanwhile, Su Yuan played dead. He was gaining experience by just sleeping. He didn't want to waste his time on other things. Besides, he felt that if Suwon found out about his wings, she might make him her scout and send him flying to patrol the area. So, Su Yuan laid on the ground and pretended to be dead. Suwon stomped her feet in anger. The cave was so dark and she couldn't see properly. She was especially frustrated because Su Yuan kept ignoring her. Just as Suwon was about to interrogate him for more information, Shi Linglong sent a message to the group. Shi Linglong, F***CK, I accidentally poked the barbarian's nest. A level 15 barbarian leader is chasing me. Sisters, please save me. If it keeps pursuing me, it will discover my territory core. Chapter 9. I lost Su Yuan. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. Shi Linglong's territory might be destroyed. Suan was anxious after seeing the message in the group chat. Even the joy she had felt in destroying the barbarian stronghold was no longer there. Lin Yao, Linglong, what are the coordinates of your territory? I will see if I can come for your help. After Shi Linglong sent the coordinates, Lin Yao and Zhao Qingrong sent a series of ellipses. Shi Linglong's territory was too far away from them. Zhao Qingrong, Sister Yao, can't we let the senior students help Linglong? Zhao Qingrong believed that if she sent Shi Linglong's coordinates, some seniors would definitely want to help her. They had only just become lords and didn't have too many resources to help Shi Linglong. Besides, the territory was too far away. However, it was different for the senior students. They had been lords for a long time, so they would have some special tools in their hands. Perhaps one of them would be able to teleport to Shi Linglong's territory to help her? Lin Yao, normally, that would be possible. The lords do help each other. But we are new students, and we are still at the trial stage. Lin Yao's words shattered their hopes. Their teacher had informed them that aside from other freshmen's assistants, no other interference would be tolerated at the trial stage. Just when they were feeling hopeless, Suan compared the coordinates. Suan, your territory seems to be near mine. Linglong, hold on. I will come help you. Suan didn't blindly suggest it. If the barbarian leader was wandering around Shi Linglong's territory, it was very likely that he would destroy the core of the territory. At that time, Shi Linglong's future would be over. But if Suan could support her even if she can't beat the barbarian leader, there will be some hope. Suan's territory was hidden in a cave. It would be very difficult for the barbarian leader to find it. If the territory core was still intact, the skeleton soldiers, and even the lord could be resurrected using the territory core. After considering these factors, Suan decided to take the skeleton soldiers to help Shi Linglong. Suan looked at Su Yuan who was still sleeping on the ground. She hesitated then carried him in her arms. Su Yuan opened his eyes and looked at Suan. Suan hurriedly explained the situation to him. Please don't misunderstand. I am just taking you with me so you can gain experience and level up. Su Yuan didn't resist and let Suan carry him out of the territory. Suan counted the number of skeleton soldiers she had. 33 of them had fallen in the fight. Now, only 67 remained. I have no time to revive them. I have to hurry and help Linglong. Resurrecting the troop required time and resources. Right now, every second was precious. Suan took the remaining skeleton soldiers with her. According to the coordinates given by Shi Linglong, Suan found her territory. Shi Linglong's territory was in a lush forest. There was even a lake nearby. This was the place Suan had imagined and fantasized about. Should I call it a blessing in disguise? Suan wondered. Suan realized that although her territory wasn't pleasing to the eyes and lacked resources, it was still safely hidden from enemies. Furthermore, the skeleton soldiers seemed to be hiding some secrets of their own. They could transform into black skeleton soldiers and blow up the barbarians. Shi Linglong's opening was pretty good, with mountains and rivers. But she was unlucky because the barbarian leader was on her trail. Suan was lost in her thoughts when the skeleton soldiers in front of her faltered. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Suan looked in front of her and found that the skeleton soldiers and the barbarians had collided. The skeleton soldiers at the front were very brave. They didn't care about death. They charged at the barbarians. We are done for. Suan's blood pressure rose a little. She was very clear that her goal was not to eliminate these barbarians, but to chase them away, so that Shi Linglong's territory would not be attacked. Suan's plan was to find the barbarians and formulate a strategy to lead them away somehow. In the end, these brainless skeleton soldiers had charged recklessly. Su Yuan opened an eye to gauge the situation, then closed it lazily. Su Yuan silently cast the demon dragon's blessing on the skeletons. In an instant, the skeleton soldiers that were kicked away like sandbags turned into black skeletons with tripled attributes. They transformed again, exclaimed Suan. I don't understand how they do that at all. Suan stared at the skeleton soldiers but still couldn't find An explanation. How did they transform? What is causing them to transform? Suwon wondered. When she came back to her senses again, she discovered that those black skeleton soldiers had been defeated. They were retreating. There are too many barbarians. There's a barbarian leader nearby. It's a big tribe. Suwon realized that the barbarians they fought were different from the ones they had fought before. This tribe was far larger and stronger in numbers. Therefore, even the black skeleton soldiers that had destroyed the barbarian stronghold easily before were being forced to retreat. Suwon looked at Su Yuan, who slept in her arms with his eyes closed. She carefully placed him under a tree and went to join the fight. She used steel shelter to increase the remaining skeletons' resistance and fought the barbarians with them. Although there were too many barbarians, they still had a fighting chance. A barbarian threw a spear at Suwon. She dodged it with her agility attribute but realized that the spear was now heading toward the tree where she had set Su Yuan under the tree. Suwon was terrified that the spear would hit Su Yuan. "Be careful," she shouted. The spear struck the tree, but it did not hit Su Yuan. Suwon sighed in relief. Su Yuan, who was sleeping with his eyes closed, was a little impatient. He yawned. "Keep it down, will you? I want to sleep." Suwon wondered why he was sleeping so much. She thought he must really be sick or cursed with something. Maybe that was why he was always drowsy. She was angry at the barbarians now. Just as she was about to attack, a mighty figure appeared a distance away. She saw a 2-meter-tall barbarian appear in front of her. The barbarian leader. Suwon was so scared that her face turned pale. The black skeleton soldiers were no better than trash in front of the barbarian leader. They were just kicked away. Suwon realized she couldn't win. Even if she could resurrect herself, it would be foolish to charge at the barbarian leader for a fight. Suwon commanded the skeleton soldiers to occupy the barbarian leader while she ran away. She followed the direction Shi Linglong had given her and found a small cave where Shi Linglong was hiding. They finally met. "Wan, you really came to help me? I am so touched." "Thank you so much for helping me," said Shi Linglong. She asked Suwon about her hero. Suwon froze. **T? I left Su Yuan at the fight scene." Suwon didn't have time to think. She gathered the few remaining skeleton soldiers with her and went to look for Su Yuan. Chapter 10, Killing the Barbarian Leader. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. After Suwon escaped, Su Yuan remained under the tree, unmoving. He was busy gaining experience. He did want to level up. The barbarian leader, who had just lost his target, had his eyes on Su Yuan now. He felt the murderous intent from the barbarian leader. He opened one eye and stared drowsily at the barbarian leader. The barbarian leader felt a chill run down his spine when Su Yuan stared at him. However, the barbarian leader's intelligence wasn't that high. He could not understand what Su Yuan was. He only saw Su Yuan as a target. The barbarian leader slowly walked towards Su Yuan. "Isn't it good to be alive?" he said. "Why are you interrupting me?" said Su Yuan. "Leave me alone." Su Yuan knew that this matter could not be resolved peacefully. He spread his small dragon wings and flapped them. The barbarians flew back and collided among themselves. Su Yuan flew up. The barbarian leader could not react. He was too fast. When he heard the sound, he turned around and found that he had become the commander of the light beam. Not bad. These stats are more than enough to deal with barbarians. Su Yuan looked down at the barbarian leader from up in the sky. He did not use any ability. He was just checking out his new body. The barbarian leader sensed that things weren't going as he wanted. He retreated slowly. He was afraid. In the blink of an eye, a black light appeared. Su Yuan appeared at the barbarian leader's side. He wrapped his dragon tail around the barbarian leader's neck and dragged him up into the air. "You're really weak." Su Yuan wanted to kill the barbarian leader right there. However, a thought occurred to him. "If I kill him, that woman will know." Su Yuan knew that overlords had their own interface. He also knew that the overlord could not check his attributes without his consent. But he was sure that if he killed the barbarian leader, she would know he was powerful. Even if she didn't see him kill the barbarian leader, would there be a notification informing her that her hero had killed a boss? Su Yuan didn't want to find out. If Suwon knew he killed the barbarian leader, she would definitely make him fight in battles after this. That would seriously affect his time for naps. In the end, Su Yuan chose a compromise. He clenched his claws into a fist and punched the head of the barbarian leader. Even though the baby-sized mini-dragon looked harmless, he was powerful. If Su Yuan hadn't controlled his strength, the barbarian leader's head would have exploded. The barbarian leader fell to the ground in agony. He could not get up. Su Yuan looked around and saw some skeleton soldiers who were pretty much intact. Go on. Finish him off, he instructed. A skeleton soldier limped forward. Its right arm was broken. When it arrived beside the barbarian leader, the skeleton soldier pulled out its own rib and used it as a sword. It stabbed the barbarian leader in the heart. Congratulations Lord Suwon for successfully killing the first boss. Suwon's interface displayed a prompt. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks Suwon froze. Shi Linglong was stunned. When Suwon anxiously returned to the battlefield to look for Su Yuan, Shi Linglong had followed her. When they reached the fight scene, they had witnessed something strange. The once ferocious barbarian leader had fallen to the ground. A skeleton soldier that was missing an arm held a sharp bone and stabbed it into the barbarian leader's heart. The two young women looked at each other. The scene in front of them didn't make sense. After the skeleton soldier killed the barbarian leader, it collapsed into a heap of bones. Silence fell. Wan, you killed the barbarian leader. Shi Linglong's voice trembled. Suwon nodded. She must have. Somehow. Although she was also confused, she thought maybe one of her skeletons had killed the boss, so the achievement was counted as hers. Shi Linglong curiously picked up the remains of the skeleton soldier, wanting to study it. Suwon suddenly remembered why she was here. She needed to look for Su Yuan. Sure enough, Su Yuan was still under the tree where she had placed him. This guy probably doesn't know what even happened. Suwon picked him up carefully, trying not to wake him. Suwon felt guilty for leaving him. She didn't want to wake him up because she didn't want him to find out that she had run away without him. She worried that Su Yuan would never trust her again. Suwon planned to wake him up when she returned to her territory. She would not mention about leaving him there if it was possible. As Suwon carefully picked up Su Yuan, Shi Linglong ran to her side to talk with her. Su Yuan restrained himself from changing his form. After killing the barbarian leader, he had risen to level 10. There were new changes in appearance after every 5 levels. It was difficult for him to avoid the change. If Suwon and Shi Linglong saw him change now, they would probably study him like a specimen. After restraining the change, Su Yuan looked at his skills. Dark Fusion. Fuse 2 dark creatures of the same race into one creature for 10 minutes. The fused creature will have the combined attributes of the 2 creatures. It would not be possible for him to test his abilities right now, at least not in front of Su Yuan and Shi Linglong. Shi Linglong and Suwon discussed the death of the barbarian leader. Shi Linglong gave a long and animated explanation. Su Yuan thought that she was very imaginative. It prevented Su Yuan from having to explain things. Wan, that was a very powerful barbarian leader? It fought with another leader nearby and injured him severely. Maybe it was injured as well. So, when your skeleton soldiers took over, it was already very low on HP. Suwon felt that the explanation made sense. Wild Boar King, Su Yuan muttered in his heart. After killing the barbarian leader, his experience rose very quickly. Su Yuan wondered if he should take care of the Wild Boar King as well, just for the benefits. It was at this time that Suwon received another prompt. Congratulations to Lord Suwon for becoming the first novice to kill a boss and for obtaining the opportunity for a blood trial. If you activate the blood trial, a large number of monsters will attack your territory in 3 days' time. If you survive the blood trial, everything you achieve during the trial, including resources, experience, and troop classes, will be tripled. Suwon felt suffocated. The prospect was very attractive to her, who lacked resources. But Suwon wasn't sure she could survive the blood trial. She had been lucky that one of her skeleton soldiers had killed the barbarian leader. She felt that it was luck more than her capability. If she accepted the blood trial, she would probably end up dead. Suwon thought about it and decided that she would refuse. But, at this moment, a familiar little claw reached out yet again.